You don't have to actually. Okay, we are
Oh yeah, I'm
live.
tripping. I forgot.
That's right. We good. We are live. Late night here on a Sunday night. Our Lions 20-16 over the Green Bay Packers. The good thing is that it gives our Lions a 9-8 record. That puts us above 500, and we knock a divisional foe out of the playoffs. Let's start with first of all, son. Let's get your overall takeaway on the games before we talk about the size of the ball.
Um, it was another Lions win, but mainly it was a hard fought game. At first I kind of was hoping the Lions would be able to put some more points on the board, but I mean, you got to realize it was late night and up in the Midwest. It was like 24 degrees out there on the field or something like that, and Jared Goff has the California hands and stuff, but it was a hard fought game, and ultimately they came away with the win, and the main thing I took away from this is that it's a new horizon for the NFC North. I think Aaron Rodgers' time is over now, but that's my main takeaways.
I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say that too is that there's going to be a
Oh,
new team in the NFC North. It's the Detroit Lions. As you and I talked about yesterday, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are on their way out because if Rodgers retires, they can forget about it. The Chicago Bears are at least 2 years away from being competitive, and the Minnesota Vikings are just be honest, an average team. So let's start with the offense today. The offense puts up 20 points, no turnovers. I'm trying to make sure I'm not misspeaking. If there was once, you have to
no.
remind me, but I don't remember us having any turnovers. Shout out to Skip Bayless, something he said the other day about why the Lions would win this game. So let's start with the offense. Let's start with Jared Goff. You start off. What did you think about Jared Goff tonight?
Oh man, for a minute I thought Jared Goff looked, on some throws I thought he looked a little off. Even the commentators brought it up, especially like when they zoomed in on his hands, you could tell the ball was actually kind of coming out of his hands weird, like he wasn't. I don't think he was used to the cold yet. But in the second half, I think he got a little more used to it, and I thought he looked a lot more sharp. And he was just being a good game manager until the game started to open up a little bit, and he was able to keep pace.
I would agree with too. The first half, I was, you and I were texting back and forth, and I was getting a little agitated with Jared Goff, to be honest, because I was thinking, why doesn't I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers? He has no gloves on. I'm looking at Jared Goff almost throw the ball in the ground every play, and I'm wondering why doesn't he just take that glove off of his right hand so he can grip the ball better? But in the second half, he did look a lot better. He had more zip on the ball, and like he's played for the last, if you count this one, 9 games, no turnovers. Jared Goff has been sharp. Jared Goff has been a top 10 quarterback in the league. And I said this a few weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again. I think we found our quarterback. If the Lions want to go into the draft and draft a young boy, down anything past the first round, that's fine. But Jared Goff is our guy. Let's talk about the running backs. First half, it didn't seem like a lot was going on, but the second half, they picked it up. What did you think about our running backs?
I thought they looked pretty good out there. It was that good lightning and thunder attack with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. The only thing that bothered me, I mean, Ben Johnson is a good OC, but in my personal opinion, I still feel like they make it very clear when they bring in Swift. They almost make it clear that he's going to be utilized because they don't bring him in as much as Jamal Williams. And I feel like it should be the opposite because Jamal Williams is a bigger back. They should be bringing him in at times where it seems like it's more obvious. I almost feel like DeAndre Swift goes in as a second back. He almost goes in as like a receiving back more. And I feel like it makes it really clear that they're going to try to throw the ball his way, which they kind of did. He got the ball like 6 times in a row on one drive, and then he'll go like almost a quarter without getting the ball as much. So I don't really understand that. But even with that, he still had good stats, and him and Jamal Williams looked pretty good today. So
I think so. I know the second half they definitely picked it up. I thought it was good run scheme. Jamal Williams against his old team was running really hard, but you're right about DeAndre Swift. And I think on a later show, when you and I do a show in the off season, we start talking about the draft and free agency, we're gonna address this again because I've talked about what I thought about our running backs before. I do think that it's necessary that you have a legit number one back. And DeAndre Swift, in my opinion, seems like he is moving towards more like a third down back in a way. But he has some good plays today. He came up big with Williams. Justin Jackson contributed some. So I thought they looked well. Let's move to the receivers and the tight ends. What was your takeaway on the pass catchers today?
Um, I'm trying to think about our tight ends. They weren't there as much as they have been for
Right.
the other games, but the receivers look decent for the most part. I know it actually was not the commentators had a mistake. They said it was Josh Reynolds who had a drop late in the game, but it was actually Jameson Williams. And
Yes.
me and you have been talking about wondering why maybe Jameson Williams wasn't getting as much playing time, and they did mention miscommunication and drops and stuff like that. And that was a pretty weird drop, so maybe he does have a dropping problem. But even with that, I still think, they played him a lot. I still want to see. I still wanted to see more of him just because it's like 40% of this dude's touches, he's gonna get in the end zone. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I thought they looked pretty good for the most part. Sorry.
I nope, you good, you good. I thought so too. I thought that all the receivers did a pretty decent job today. You're absolutely right. That Jameson Williams drop, I agree with Chris Collinsworth. He has to make that catch. That was a catchable ball that he didn't make. And but the thing is this, we already have a taste of what 2023 has to bring. And as Collinsworth said in the game, he said he didn't understand why in this game the Lions weren't running Jameson Williams down the middle of the field. And he was saying, I guarantee you, if you start running him down the middle of the field, he's going to open up that zone.
Right.
Whether you throw the ball to him or you use him as a decoy, he's going to open the zone up. But you know what? We have a whole nother we have a few more months and then the 2023 season will start. And I think we're going to see the true Jameson Williams. Let's talk about the offensive line. I thought I'll start with this one. I thought that the offensive line was solid for the most part. They kept Jared Goff clean. I think that they did a good job with those big guys up front for Green Bay, and it showed in the second half when our running backs were hitting bigger holes. What did you think about the O line today?
Yeah, I thought the only line looked pretty good for the most part. I'm trying to remember if Jared Goff got sacked or not. Um, if he did, it was only once. So no, I thought the offensive line looked pretty good for the most
Mhm.
part. I mean, uh, it seems like they get their passing blocking is obviously a lot better than their run blocking. It seems like, but they still look pretty decent. I would give them a B plus.
Okay, and I would say he did get sacked once. I don't know if they count. I think they counted as a sack. He tried to roll out. I don't know if he was out of the pocket, but it was one of the plays where he dropped the ball when he got hit, and I blamed it on him having those gloves on. But actually, it was the defensive lineman hit the ball as he was bringing him down. But offensive line did a good job. Let's talk about something else on the offense. We talked about the positions. Let's talk about offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. What did you think about him?
Man,
Not just this game. Let's touch on him for the whole season up to today. What did you think about the coach?
man, he's honestly probably one of the most impressive play callers I've seen. He's really just called some wild plays that you don't even think about. I really don't even know how to describe that last play that they did. I think they gave it to St. Brown, and then he just pitched it back to Swift, and Swift did his thing and got like a 15-yard gain. I don't know how you draw up that play, and I'm sure all 31 other teams are wondering how he came up that play as well. As you mentioned earlier to me that we were
Yeah.
texting about it, I just hope I hope he doesn't leave for like a head coaching job or something somewhere else. But yeah, I'm sure he'll stay with the Lions because I think uh, people tend to have like a connection with the Lions, so I'm sure he'll stay for at least another year.
Yes, I think that one of the first things the Lions need to do with that man is they need to give him a raise. Whatever
Yeah,
he's making, they need to look around the league, and if he's not the highest paid offensive coordinator, he needs to be for him to stay because teams are going to see this offense and they're going to see the way Jared Goff played and say, why wouldn't we want to hire him? Maybe not in the NFL, but maybe some college sees him and says, this guy looks like a pretty good game manager. Let's jump to the defense. The defense gave up 16 points. to the Green Bay Packers. Let's start with the offense. Let's excuse me. Let's start with the defensive line. What was your takeaway on our D line today?
Oh, I thought the D line looks pretty good for the most part. And Aiden, the commentators brought up a really good point about Aiden Hutchinson. It's not always about the stats. They brought up the point that because Aiden Hutchinson takes so many people to block him, and because they have to bring extra people down to block him, it takes away from the targets Aaron Rodgers has. If he would have four receivers because of Aiden Hutchinson, he'll have three.
Mhm.
So it really helps the corners out. But I thought the D line looks really good. We saw James Houston out there. He tracked down Aaron Rodgers on what was almost a sack, but I think it was like a 1 yard gain. Um, um, I still think they need to get a D tackle though. But the edges look really good though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. The edges looked really good. I love James Houston. I think that we have something with that. That comment. James Houston was even getting attention. They were they he got cracked down on a few times, and he had a great hustle play where he sacked it. I don't think it counted as a sack, but Aaron Rodgers tried to roll out, and James Houston literally was way outside, and he hustled to go back inside and run Aaron Rodgers down before he could make it down the field and make a play out of it. I thought that Isaiah Buggs came up huge in this game. He came up huge, stopping the run. Alim McNeil, we know that he's looking good at the D tackle spot. I still think we need another defensive tackle, but I want to see Isaiah Buggs stay on this team because he's made a great impact this second half of the season. Uh, let's go with the linebackers. I'm gonna let you go first. What you think about our linebackers today?
Hmm. you know, To be honest, I didn't really. A few weeks ago I gave them more credit, and a few weeks ago before that I said I didn't really notice them. It was kind of like that again today. I was watching the whole game, but I really didn't see them, flying around that much. I still think we need a linebacker that I really notice out there, a linebacker that can strip a running back for a fumble, a linebacker that can jump up and get a pick. Um, I still think they're decent. They just didn't jump off the screen to me. I honestly did not really see them out there. If I'm being honest, I just really did not notice Malcolm Rodriguez. Um, I just had the stats up, but I think Alex has only led the team in tackles. I think he had five.
Okay, yeah. Now for me, I thought that the linebackers did decent today. I do agree with you that we need another linebacker who can fly around the field. But I thought that the linebackers did decent today, especially in that first half. I thought that Anzalone had that huge play where he filled the gap and prevent. I think it was a third down. Rodriguez has some decent plays, but I do think that in the future we're going to want to look at a linebacker who can just fly all over the field. But I think they were solid. Okay, let's get to the DBs, corners and safeties. What's your take on them?
Well, it's weird. I mean, the safeties are just fine. I mean, I think Deshaun. I mean, you can rotate the three of them. I think Deshaun Elliott, Tracy Walker, and Kirby Joseph will be just fine. You don't need to get anybody else. But the corners, it's scary. I mean, it's like so when Jared, to make an example, when Jared Goff used to throw up the ball earlier in the season, I would get really nervous because
Right.
I didn't think there'd be anybody open down there. But it's the opposite when quarterbacks are throwing it deep to the Lions receivers. I almost wince every time a quarterback throws it deep because I know that somehow the receiver is going to come up with the ball. And really, that still is what happened today. I mean, you saw Robert Tony making catches. Christian Watson was making catches as well. So no, they're gonna have to get a first round talent at DB for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. The safeties looked good. The corners, especially with a Kudinat out there, the corners looked very shaky. Aaron Rodgers knew that, and uh, 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 Amani or Courier, always mess up
Yeah,
his last name.
it doesn't matter anyway.
Big 24. He
Yeah.
Amani. I don't know. He's always grabbing, falling. I don't know. I mean, after 2021, we had so much hope for him, so much promise that he was, possibly going to be the guy that that there was a good chance that he could be a good number two corner, but I don't think so. I I don't need he may be an okay nickel or dime back at best, but he definitely holds way too much. I don't know if it's a confidence issue or what, but anyway, I guess that's it for that. Let's talk about the special teams. Jack Fox, our punter, but I really want to focus on Badgley, the guy that goes by the Money Badger. What do you think about our special teams?
Oh, Badgley wasn't bad today. He did miss one 40-yard field goal. Am I right?
He did.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad today, though. I mean, I think he's definitely a guy you can resign just for all the kicking troubles we were having earlier in the season.
Hmm.
So, I think he was good enough.
Okay.
And, the punt game is always good. So,
It is, it is. And I agree with you. I was kind of complaining because Badgley missed that kick because that was an important kick, but I know the conditions weren't the best. But I guess for right now, I mean, I guess he didn't do so bad. And let's stay on the defense for one more moment. Let's talk about DC Aaron Glenn. What was your overall takeaways from Aaron Glenn this season?
man, I think they definitely need to resign Aaron Glenn. I feel like the team really, the team, like we put a lot of expectations on the team, and really not only were the players not there. I feel like at the beginning of the season, even the coaches weren't there. I think Aaron Glenn and the other defensive coordinators really learned a lot as the season went on. I
Hmm.
mean, the Lions went from Commanders scored 27, the Seahawks scored 48, the Cowboys put 20, or the Patriots put 29 on them. I mean, after that, a lot of their games were pretty low scoring. The Giants had only scored 18, Jets only had 17, Bears only had 10. We saw the Packers today. Really, the only fluke game in the past like 9 weeks has been the Panthers, where they scored 37. Other than that, the Lions games haven't really been. I mean, they've been close, but the defense is really taking care of business, to be honest. So the stats don't really tell the story for the defense, just because they had a historically bad first half to the season.
Yeah. And I'm one of the people you have to blame for that, for Aaron, for picking on Aaron Glenn, because after that Patriots game, I was pretty frustrated with Aaron Glenn, and I was saying that, I was one of these guys saying that he was in over his head, and what is he doing, and all this other stuff. But Aaron Glenn has definitely proven himself to me.
Yeah.
Aaron, the defense has definitely gotten better. The run defense, other than that Panthers game, the last 8 weeks, the run defense has been much improved. The Panthers game was, I don't know what happened that day. It was one of those flukes, but it is what it is. They ran all over us, but Aaron Glenn did his thing, and I'm sure he'll be back next season on this playoff run. And I know we're going to go next year. Now, where did you now? We finished 9-8. This is our first time in a few years, I think, since Caldwell was there, that we finished above 500. Give me some early predictions on what you think for 2023. Are we making the playoffs? Are we winning the division, or both?
Yeah, I mean, unless the Lions just have an absolutely insane schedule, but even then, I think the Lions will at the very least. If the Lions have, like, let's say they have a top five schedule in the NFL, at the
Mhm.
very least, I think they're still going to make the playoffs. But if they just have a decent schedule where it's almost like this again, where we can see that they can get 9 wins, I think they should be able to run the North for sure. Unlike other teams that have, like the Rams, the team that made the Super Bowl, you kind of expect them to be, people expect them to be good again. But what the problem with those teams is that they have a lot of older players. The Lions are really
Right.
young. So because of that, the only thing that can happen with these players is that they're going to get better. And the other thing with the Lions is they have a top six pick and then they have the 18th pick. So they really couldn't be in a better spot. I don't see how they could be worse. They don't have anyone that's old on that team. So
Yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the next things that I want to that you and I could talk about in the weeks to come is, I don't know if we need to wait to the playoffs shake out a little bit, maybe after the wild card games, but I would love to see where the Lions pick with the Rams losing. I'm with you. I'm assuming that that's a top six pick, but definitely not
yeah,
lower than seven.
someone posted the top 18 picks. I mean, it says the Lions have the sixth pick and the 18th pick, but who
Six and
knows if
18.
that's. Who knows if that's official though?
Okay. Well, due to the fact that the Lions are not in the playoffs, that may be official. So if we have 6 and 18, there's some good players out there, and you and I will talk about the draft. As we have 3.5 months to go till we get to the draft in April. I have a image up on the screen. I'm on the Lions Twitter because I was hoping to get a little bit of the press conference and to see what Coach had to say, but you know what I didn't realize? That Tony Dungy was the only one who picked the Lions. Now I thought that all what's this 3, 6, 8 of the people on NBC. I thought they all picked the Packers. I didn't realize that Tony Dungy picked the Lions to win. Now I don't know if that's his Michigan bias coming out because Tony Dungy is from Michigan, or if he's just a good football head. But I'm happy to see that somebody actually did pick the Lions because I was kind of ready to throw it back in their face and say, "Well, now what you think?"
Yeah.
Now, and speaking of that, son, I'm glad that we beat the Packers because I was getting sick of hearing the Packers talk all week. Oh, the Packers are hot. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and you don't want to run into the Packers in the playoffs. Well, guess what? Now you're not going to run into them because the Detroit Lions just put them out. Now, let me ask you something, son. At the end of the game, I heard one of the commentators say that Jerry, no, I'm sorry, not Jerry Jacobs, but Jameson Williams actually went up to Aaron Rodgers when he gave him a hug and asked him could he have his jersey, and they said that Aaron Rodgers said, "Hey man, I think I'm going to hold on to this one." So even though we are diehard Lions fans, what do you think is going to happen with the great Aaron Rodgers from here? Is he done? Will Green Bay
See,
not making the playoffs, or will he be like Brett Favre and hang around, not say anything for a few months and then come back?
oh man, I don't know. I think he might be done unless he does like a LeBron type thing and just tries to go to another team for a championship or something. Because I
Hmm.
don't see how they would be any like that's what I'm trying to say. They're not like the Lions. Like they have an old quarterback. He's
Right.
not going to get any better. They get Jordan Love. I mean, he's all right. It might be time to wait. Did they trade him or they still have him? Right?
I think they still have him.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to retire. I mean, I don't think he's going to give Jameson Williams the jersey regardless. But the fact that he said he wanted to keep it, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what made me think it too, because he never, I don't know, he doesn't come across to me as like a real jerk. So I would think that Jameson Williams asking him for his jersey, he would do it. But I just thought it was curious. I figured I made a note that was something we would talk about. I thought it was curious when he said, "No, nah, man, I think I'm gonna hold on to this one."
Yeah.
Uh, well, there you have it, 9-8. Our boys finished the season. Nobody even thought that. Most people, I should say, did not think that we would be in the playoff hunt. I can't say that I did. I thought that we would come up just short, and I guess that's what happened. I guess we came up just short of the playoffs, but it was a great 2022 season, and it definitely gives us Lions fans something to be hopeful for and to look forward to in 2023. I think we touched about everything. We talked about the offense. We talked about the coaches. One more thing. So let's talk about the big man, Coach Dan Campbell. What do we think about Coach Dan Campbell? 3-13-1 in his first season, 9-8 in his second season. What do we think about Coach Dan Campbell, the guy that other people said is a bad coach?
Man, I'm gonna have to say Dan Campbell's the coach of the year, man. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who's supposed to be ahead of him, but man, he's really killed it. A lot of people, I don't know what's up with people thinking that. I feel like because he jokes around a lot, people think he's like a meathead or whatever. But the truth is, he's
Right.
actually a really smart guy. So I really like him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he does gamble. He's aggressive, but he said that that's something that he learned from Sean Payton. That sometimes you have to be aggressive and not so conservative. But I think that we have us a guy, and let's ride this thing out and see how it goes. Well, before we get out of here, Lions fans, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and you can also catch the Lions Den podcast on Spotify. Now, right now, we are in the midst of making this a podcast on some other mediums, but right now you can get us right here on YouTube and you can get us on Spotify. That way you can listen to it doing whatever else you're doing if you don't want to be on YouTube. And son, you want to share want to share the TikTok?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We be making TikToks. I'm gonna be trying to make them. Start making them at least every few days. You can check us out at the Lions Den podcast at TikTok. It should be the same as our YouTube name.
Okay, yep, it sounds good. And we will start having all of those things in the description so we can keep talking Lions football. Well, it was a good way to end the season. I think that I mean, hey, that sends me to bed on a good note. Son, anything else you want to add from this game?
No, I don't think the season really couldn't have ended much better than that. So I don't think either of us were expecting it to end like this. So
I don't think
nothing
we
else to
were.
say.
All right. Well, other than that, that's all we got. Peace.
All right, peace.